All right, welcome to this video. My name is Taylor Benchard, and in this video, we're going to be talking about how to build an agency that grows without you. Probably one of the most exciting and coolest things you could ever do and ever achieve in a business, in my opinion, is to build it in such a way where that thing is growing on its own, and it's actually like an adult, and it's taking care of you, which is really, really cool. Now, personally, I've been working an hour per week in my agency, probably less than that, like 30 or even like 10 to 15 minutes per week for almost a year now. It's probably been 7 or 8 months, and it's probably going to be for the next 1 to 2 to 3 years. I'm going to be continuing to work 30 minutes to an hour per week because I kind of left the agency behind. I was going to sell it, but I decided to keep it, and we'll get into that story in just a second. But first, before I talk about my own story, I want to tell you that there's 3 things that you need to be able to do this, and I'm going to go over these 3 things in depth with you, and as I go through them, I'm going to kind of tell you briefly my own story so that you know that I'm not just like pulling shit out of a hat here. I've done this myself, and I'm talking from my own experience, not from like some books that I read. So number 1, you need a digital brain, or otherwise known as a agency framework. So a digital brain, which is how I like to call it, most people call it an agency framework, is essentially the blueprint, the map, the SOP, the giant SOP or the turnkey system that explains your entire business from A to Z in such a simple way that you could take somebody off the streets that has like a decent average IQ and they speak good English, which is probably necessary for your agency, and they could run the whole agency without you. All right, it would take them some time to go through the training and go through the blueprint, or as I say, the digital brain or the agency framework. But once learned, which might take 3 or 4 weeks, they would be able to take a client from their current situation to get them to their desired situation and perform the service that your agency performs. So that's what a digital brain is. If you're familiar with the E-Myth Strategy by Michael E. Gerber, I don't know where that book is exactly. It's probably somewhere here on the bookshelf, but it's a phenomenal book. And what it talks about is essentially the McDonald's methodology of how McDonald's revolutionized the franchise business model in America, essentially kickstarted and created it because they made their business so simple, so fast, and so efficient. They built such a good SOP framework that a teenager could pretty much make the burger and operate the whole company, and they didn't need to have some super expensive, brilliant person to teach people how to make the burgers. They just made a simple framework, and they actually called it the Hamburger University, where they taught people how to manage and run their own McDonald's, which pretty much anybody could have done at that time when they were scaling up. If you've seen the movie The Founder with Ray, that basically describes the life of Ray Kroc, it's a phenomenal movie. I highly recommend it. So you need to have in your own agency like an agency university that can take somebody off the streets and teach them A to Z how to help a client get from their current situation to their desired situation and perform the service that you perform. All right? So you need that. That's step number 1, which is the most important thing. Step number 2 is really simple. You just need, and this is going to be very obvious. See if you can try and guess it. Number 2 is you need a team. Now, this is obvious. I'm not going to get into the details of hiring people, but you need a team that can perform and operate this framework that you built. Okay? That's simple, right? So that's really simple. Now, honestly, the other thing that you need is in this framework, this normally an agency framework or a digital brain doesn't have this, but you also need this. You need to have a proven lead gen system, which should be included in the framework, all right? This is going to be really important for whoever the sales leader is that's going to be signing all the new clients. Lead gen system. So we're just going to call it SG. Or LG system. So the proven lead gen system that any other person can come in and operate as well will be included in the agency framework. So the next thing you need is a team. The team is really important. Our team consists of primarily virtual assistants offshore in the Philippines, virtual assistants, software developers, automation specialists. These are the 3 primary people, and then we also have an account executive who manages and talks to all the clients, and that is the most important thing. So you need a team that can do the deliverables and a team or a person or multiple people that can talk to the clients and manage the virtual offshore team that does the deliverables. Now, it may not be possible in your agency to hire people offshore to do 99% of the client work like we have done in our agency. I think it's actually possible. It just requires really good SOPs, which is essentially an agency framework. But you need the team. Now, the third thing is the most important thing, which is the most difficult part about doing this. So let's get into this. This is really difficult, and it takes time, and not a lot of people have the ability to be able to do this, but you need a leader. Now, the leader comes from the team. It's not like some big CEO that you hire and you bring in. The leader comes from somebody in the team that knows the entire business framework really well. They're dedicated to growing the company. They love working with you in the company, and they want to see the company do better. And the reason why they love working in the company is because they're learning so much, and they're personally, evolving and growing so much working with you in the company, which is the type of feeling you should have, anybody should have when they're working in a company with you. They should never feel like they're not learning anything and they're not growing or evolving personally. So how do you find a leader? Because the leader is the crutch. This is the bottleneck and the reason why 99% of agency owners will never be able to work half an hour to an hour per week. It's simple. Let me explain to you my own story about how I came to basically developing one of our account executives into a leader that now manages the entire agency, that now signs clients for the agency and is about to be hiring people as well. Essentially, she is doing everything and growing the agency without me, okay? And that's a difficult thing to do, but you need to find the right person. So let's get into it. So first of all, a brief story on my background. You might even want to leave this video right now if you don't want to hear it or because you've already heard it. But it'll be really important to solidifying these three things so you can understand it from the perspective of a story where it'll stick into your mind. I grew at 19 years old. I started my agency. I hit about 10K per month in 3 months. I moved to Panama City, which is where I am now. I should show the view is really amazing where I am. But anyways, and then what happened is about a year ago, close to a year ago, maybe 9 months ago, I launched a second business with a friend. And at this time, our agency was doing around $40,000 per month-ish. About 4 or 5 months prior to that, we were doing about $50,000 per month, but I started focusing on automating the agency, lost a couple clients because I shut down the lead gen stuff so I could build the automation stuff. But average around that time was about $40,000 a month. And I launched this second venture with a friend that was very similar to the agency, but instead of offering a done-for-you service, we were offering a done-with-you service where we were training the people on how to perform the service that we performed in our agency. So we were essentially training them how to do it for themselves and to manage their own advertising. My agency is Better AMS. We manage 7 to 8 figure advertising for sellers on Amazon. And we help them increase their sales. That's what we do. So that's my agency for the last 3 years. But a year ago, 9 months ago, I launched this other business that taught people how to do what we were doing for them. And that business scaled to about $60,000 per month in 4 months. The growth was absolutely insane. And around that time, my personal monthly revenue between both companies was near $100,000 a month. And I remember feeling totally bored with everything I was doing. I realized at that moment, because I'd always wanted to scale a company up to 7 figures, and at that point, I basically had 2 companies that equated to about 7 figures annually. If you were to multiply the monthly revenue by 12 months, it would be over $1 million a year. And I remember thinking, wow, that was super exciting. I hit this huge goal of mine for a long time at a relatively decent time frame, 19 years old, having no money, to 22 years old, hitting around 100K per month. And I really just didn't like what I was doing at all. Now, don't worry, don't lose. Hopefully I don't lose you here. This ties into this. I got completely bored with what I was doing. I decided, you know what, I don't want any part in this. I sold my half of that second venture at the end of the 4th month, right as we hit $60,000 per month in the ultimate growth mode. And I just told my partner, look, I really don't want to do this. I want to help people that are less fortunate. They want to grow their own business, and they're probably struggling. And I just don't feel that good about, making wealthy people wealthier. That was just my mindset. I just had this deep feeling in my heart that I didn't want to be doing this for the rest of my life, so I might as well stop it now. Then I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with the agency. So now we're getting into the agency, and I was deciding, you know what? I was probably just going to get rid of the agency, either sell it or probably just sell it. But in the last 4 months, as I was scaling the other business, I started getting rid of clients because I figured I was going to get rid of the agency anyways, because the second business was scaling so rapidly that I figured, holy shit, I might as well spend my energies here. And in the process of deciding if I was going to sell the agency and scaling that other venture, I basically transitioned a lot of our clients into the done with you model. And so we lost them on the monthly retainer, but put them into the second venture, which was just like a one-time fee for training, because I figured I was going to get rid of the agency anyways. So our monthly recurring revenue went from about $40,000 per month all the way down to about $10,000 or $12,000 per month in a relatively short period of time, because I was purposely basically trying to get rid of the clients. And then I realized, you know what, there's all these employees we have that really depend on the agency. They like working in the agency. They make good money in the agency, and they're from the agency, and they're personally developing. And I thought, I'm going to hold on to the agency, and I'm going to let one of the account executive that I had at the time take over the agency, because I saw a lot of potential in her to basically manage the whole agency. I didn't see it in the beginning though, because in the beginning I just had this other business that was blowing up, and I thought to myself, fuck, the agency thing's really great. It's been great for years, but this thing just blew up from $0 to $60,000 per month in 4 months. I'm gonna just get rid of the clients and scale this thing, because it was such a huge driver for revenue and profit. And but then I didn't see the potential of my account executive at that time. And then when the agency was near death, around $12,000 per month, or 14 or 15, I don't know what it was exactly, but we took a massive hit on monthly revenue, but I purposely did it anyways. I figured, you know what, she's gonna have to manage this whole thing, and I'm just gonna throw her into the position. I'm gonna tell her, look, you're gonna manage the whole agency. You're gonna be able to sign clients by yourself. I can help you out with the lead gen. I can help you out with all the things you need, but I'm not going to do any work. I'm just going to help you and coach you through the process. And that was pretty much around the time when I launched Lead Gen Enlightened, which is helping 5 to 6 figure agencies scale, build a proven lead gen system that can double, triple, or even quadruple their monthly revenue in a short period of time, similar to what we did with the second venture and what I did with my agency over the time period that I was running it. And she was a team member. She was an account executive that was simply doing client calls and solving client problems and managing the offshore team to get the deliverables done for the clients. And then what happened was I threw her into this leader position. I said, look, I'm leaving the agency, literally, and you're going to run the whole agency. I'm going to help you through the process. Don't be nervous. Don't worry about it. And in the beginning, I think she lost a couple clients left, and the agency went down to about $10,000 per month. And then what happened was she started gaining confidence. She started signing some clients on her own, and the agency has gone from, I think it went all the way down to $10,000 per month, and then now has bounced back up to around $20,000 or $24,000 per month in the last 8 months since she's taken it over, which has been phenomenal because I've done nothing, literally nothing, except for coaching her weekly on how to basically, continue, how to do sales calls, how to do audits on the accounts, how to deal with certain problems that come up with clients that are a pain in the ass, that are taking too much time, and just sort of more complex problems. Now she's dealing with the process of how to hire another account executive, and I'm kind of walking her through the process of how do you actually interview somebody, how do you hire somebody, what websites do you go to, etc., all these different things. And I think the agency will probably be back up to $40,000 per month within the next 6 to 12 months. I see a lot of potential in her as a leader. So that's kind of the story of my agency and how I've been able to go from, working whatever I was, 60, 70 hours a week on purpose, 40 was mandatory for deliverables and stuff, to working an hour per week, is because I had a team, I had the digital brain, but I forced our account executive into becoming a leader and managing the whole agency. So that means that she had to learn the lead gen system, she had to learn how to close the clients, she had to learn how to do audits for potential prospects and figure out the pricing structure, which she's been doing really great on. The recent The last 2 or 3 clients she's signed have all been between a $2,000 to $3,000 per month retainer with a $2,000 to $3,000 or $4,000 setup fee, if I'm not mistaken. And they've all been really good clients, except for maybe one of them who's kind of been a pain. But nonetheless, she's doing great, and I'm not doing anything, so I don't necessarily really care. I care about her and her well-being, but this is what you need to do. You need to select somebody within your agency, and it's likely going to be an account executive. It should be somebody that knows the business pretty well, and they have a lot of potential. So, and this is why I say that it's so difficult, because you need to be able to look at this person and see what they are currently not. And it's so difficult to do because you're trying to see the invisible. And it's almost like I can't even explain it, but you have a feeling, you have a knowingness that this person has the potential to run the business nearly just as good as you would, if not potentially even better. And that's a very difficult thing to do, because obviously you have your own ego that started the company and scaled it to a certain point, and now you're debating on leaving the company or just simply removing yourself from it for whatever reason it might be. And you need to be able to see that in that person. I can't explain how, but there'll be a knowingness. There's so many different things. You know, I had worked with this specific account executive for over a year before I threw her into this position, or maybe it was about 9 months to 10 months. But I had spent, you know, dozens of hours with her on the phone, dozens of phone calls. I knew her pretty well relative to what her capabilities were in business, and I knew that she was very willing to grow, because anytime I spoke with her, she would ask me questions about what books I was reading, recommendations on books. And so there's a lot of different signs that you'll see in terms of if this is the right person or not. And really, to figure out if they're the right person, the ultimate thing you need to do is just hand them the keys and say, look, this is it. I'm going to give you basically 6 to 12 months. I'm removing myself from the agency. This is the lead gen system. This is the framework. This is the team. You are going to become the leader. I'm going to announce it to the team that Destiny, or whoever it may be, that's the name of our account executive who's now running my agency, is going to be leading the company forward. She's going to be the primary person to go to. Do not go to me anymore. I know you've come to me for years, but the person to go to now is her. And she will come to me if she has any problems, but none of the other staff will come to me. So hopefully this video was valuable. It's kind of a weird video because it's difficult to explain this third portion right here. It's easy to explain how to hire an account executive. It's easy to explain how to build a digital brain. It's difficult to explain how you can see someone's potential, which is not there. But it comes out of a knowingness. There is no particular SOP that you can go through to know if somebody's going to be a leader. There's certain things you can do, such as personality tests, which will help guide you, but there's no logical linear SOP formatted process that you can go through to know. It comes more out of a feeling and a knowingness based on certain indicators that you looked at logically, but logically looking at it's not enough. It comes from a feeling and a knowingness, which is weird. But if you don't think that you can make good decisions in business based on feelings, it's totally wrong. You look at the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos. He talks about how the best decisions that he's ever made in his entire life came out of a knowingness and a feeling from his heart, not because of a logical, linear, objective thought process that he went through. So hopefully you found some value in this. If you did, great. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. If I just blabbed on and you thought it was completely useless, let me know your thoughts as well. I'm very open to honest feedback. And don't forget to subscribe as well. I post a video once a week on basically how to scale your service-based business agency, and you should typically be doing between 5 to 6 figures, and you're looking to build a lead gen system. That's my main thing, is basically helping agency owners doing 5 to 6 figures to take their business to the next level, double, triple, or even quadruple it by building a lead gen system and an automation process to scale that will also one day potentially remove themselves from the agency so they can see the same type of growth and ability that I've seen in my own agency personally. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and make sure to subscribe. Thanks again. And I appreciate you, and see you in the next video. Ciao.